Hi there and welcome to Hello Malaysia with me and Edwards, and glad you could join us. Now starting 7th September, which is a Wednesday, and that's today, we will have Wednesdays with Ernie, and this will last for about probably right up to October. And we will be discussing an array of topics which is close to the hearts of all Malaysians like yourself, and also close to the heart of my guest, Ernie Chen, who is Asia's #1 business coach, TV and radio presenter, international speaker, serial entrepreneur. All those, a lot of hats.
Oh, thank you very much.
Welcome to Hello Malaysia. We understand also that you've gone through a health issue, but Ernie managed to join us here tonight.
Yep.
How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, and thank you very much for being patient, and I'm back. Thank you very much for having me here. Always a pleasure to come on your shows and to share and with Malaysians. It's always good.
And we are debuting tonight with a very special topic as well, close to your heart. I understand education in Malaysia, the right human capital. Why did you pick this topic, yeah?
I picked this topic, education in Malaysia, the right human capital, because at this junction in Malaysia right now, we are facing tremendous challenge of growing as a country. For us to progress, moving forward to achieve Vision 2020, we need to have the right human capital. Right human capital is really about the people of Malaysia or the people of the world coming to Malaysia, helping us grow Malaysia as a country.
Right.
If we don't have the right human capital, we are not going to go anywhere. With the right infrastructure is great, but it's not alive. It's not going to drive the economy. It's not going to drive the country. The country right now is lack of what we call the right brains, the right human capital. We need a tremendous brain gain program to bring people, not just Malaysians back, but people of the world who have talent, skills, and the right type of human capital to help us move to the next level, the next platform, which is what we call a global platform for the country to compete globally.
And at what stage are we at right now in Malaysia?
We are at the stage where we have all the equipments that you need, the best technology, the best invested technology systems that we have brought into the country. But these machines and these equipments are dead. It's not alive if we don't have the right human capital to deal with it. Right. So what we are finding is that every single day we are having boatloads of people, the right human capital, leaving the country, and they are not coming back either. We have Talent Corporation Berhad, and they are in the papers today. They've just partnered with Leaderonomics, a social enterprise, to help develop new leaders, new young entrepreneurs, new young leaders to lead Malaysia. But is it really going to work? We don't know yet. But we got to do something, and that's the beginning of doing something. But are we needing much more effort to ensure that we are attracting the right human capital? That is the question here. Are we doing the right thing, developing the young Malaysia to take over the country to the next level? Are we doing that now? Are we doing the right things? That is the question.
Okay. Define the right human capital.
The right human capital does not need to be Malaysians. The right human capital simply needs to be any human being that can help our country grow to become Malaysia, that is a country suitable to compete in a global platform. Today we must not be known as Malaysians only. Today we should be known as global citizens. I could be a Malaysian living in Singapore 1 year, I could be living in England 1 year, I could be living in Australia 1 year. But fundamentally is that my base of my career is in Malaysia. So that's why I'm known as an international speaker, even though I live just in Malaysia. I so happen to live in Malaysia. But today I don't just work in Malaysia. I travel all over the world delivering talks, working with different organizations. Malaysia today has become multinational company in another country. Because why? In Malaysia, in our corporations, we have multi-nationalities, and that's how you become a multinational company. And that's what it's all about. Today, the right human capital does not need to be a Malaysian. It needs to be the people that we need to help us grow the country and take us to the next level.
Okay, so the current issues, that's associated to our education system, in Malaysia. Can you tell us what are these issues?
The fundamental of all human capital is always fundamentally education. If you want to get your human capital right, the right Malaysians here itself, or to attract the rest of the world to do their education here in Malaysia, why is it always that we're sending our students over to Australia, we're sending our students over to America or to UK? This is always the three countries that we send our children to for school. Why can't it be we are the one attracting these Americans, these Australians, and they desiring to study in Malaysia? So when we talk about education, we're talking about providing the right education for anyone who can study here and then serve the country while they are here.
Right. So foreigners,
Malaysians, it doesn't matter who they are, as long as they are global citizens who's willing to study here, because we have provided a great educational platform. The problem today right now is we have the public universities and we have the private universities.
Yes.
The problem with the public universities is it's not merit driven enough, it's not competitive enough. We are still not allowing Malaysians to compete. We are still providing quota merits systems where we are having merit system, but yet it's still under a quota system, which doesn't make sense. Have more faith in the young Malaysians to compete, to be the best of the best and get accepted, desired by the universities to produce the best students in the world.
Based on merit.
Based on merit. Doesn't matter whether they're Malaysians or not. It could be a foreigner who have come to Malaysia, but because they're so good at what they do, they become the best. And we then absorb them. We then retain them to become the right human capital for the country. That's what we need to be doing. We need the best brains of the world to be here. Whether it's a Malaysian, doesn't matter. The private universities is so business driven. It's so numbers driven. You build a campus, you have the facility, they name it a university college. You put in a few more professors in there, and then you call it a university. Before you know it, they give out certs, and they are just numbers driven, filling up the classrooms. How do I know that? I come from the private universities. I know what they do. It's a business-driven business. Are they really having the heart to help the Malaysians?
And the quality.
And the quality. It drops, because when you become so numbers-driven on just the business side of things, it changes. It's always about making money, and that's what education and business needs to separate. Just like our politicians and businessmen need to separate. Politicians, do your politics. Run the country, do the policies. Businessmen, do the business. Separate it.
It's when you start mixing you have problems.
There you go.
We have the first caller on the line right now, Encik Nizam from Johor Bahru. Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. Yes, hi. How are you doing?
Fine, thank you.
Great. You have a question or feedback?
All right.
Go ahead.
When we talk about human capital, there is an issue of it's called KSA, knowledge, skill, and attitude. It's related with human resource development. Okay. Do you believe while we want to grow in our country, we need to import outside expertise? I give you one example. I'm from Johor Bahru, and then I know what is happened in our neighbor country, in Singapore, where there is an issue of importing expertise from overseas.
The best thing is the football, right?
The football.
The football team.
Sorry?
The football team, the Singapore national football team.
No, I mean, not just football team.
As an example.
One of the examples, even the doctors is from overseas. Now, do you personally believe that we follow that step? Instead, we are fully utilize our own capability. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much for the call and question, Nizam. And very simply to answer that is this. We are very proud as Malaysians. I would always want the right human capital to be fully 100% Malaysians. The challenge is this. We must always open our heart and mind to learn from others. And it's all about not invented here. That's the mentality we have. Something I learned from Jack Welch many years ago, the chairman of CEO of GE. They have this concept which is called not invented here. N-I-H, not invented here. So what if it's not invented here? So what if it's not our Malaysians first? Have this world brains come here, transfer the knowledge, K, S, and A, which is knowledge, skills, and attitude, making it into a habitual. I add a H for you. When you have a habit of an individual where they continuously practice the knowledge, the skills, and attitude, and they transfer it to our country, it becomes a culture. Singular is habitual. I have a habit, you have a habit. Put your habit and my habit together, it becomes a culture. And that's what Malaysia needs. Malaysia needs an educational culture of wanting and desiring to learn. When I go to Singapore, I go and do a training. morning, everyone down there in the classroom is so early and they can't wait to grab a seat. Everyone calls it kiasu Singaporeans. It's not necessarily kiasu Singaporeans. They have a desire to learn. In Malaysia, our corporate organizations force the employees to go for training, and the employees say, you're forcing me to learn. So we need to start having that knowledge, skills, attitude, habits in us as individuals, desiring to learn, because that's the only sustainable value that each individual can grow.
So how do we create that?
Very importantly is that, first and foremost, we need to make sure that we are competitive. We need to be hungry. Human beings have this nature. If you give them so much and so easily, they are not hungry. Everything is on the plate. You take it for granted.
Yes.
When you're not hungry, you're not going to be competitive. So if you want to be competitive and be better, you got to be hungry. First thing, policies written by the politicians, by the government, we got to make sure it is not just free meals. We got to make it a little bit more challenging so that the people start to grow to be more competitive. Then they will become better. And that's not just the Malays, the Chinese, the Indians. We're talking about anyone who's going to compete in this global platform. We are no longer competing with 28 million people, or 29, because we now have another 2 million who have just come on board. We need to start looking at how we as Malaysians, 28 million to 29 million of us here, to compete with a 6 or 7 billion population of the world. The world has become flat, and that's what we're dealing with. We're no longer dealing right now. This show right now is here for Malaysians, but believe me, by tomorrow it will be on YouTube and it will be for the world.
Thank you so much, Ernie. I'm sure you will see to that. We have another caller on the line, Mr. Lingam. And Mr. Lingam is from Malacca, I would think so. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Mr. Lingam. Thanks for calling. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Bernie.
I'm Ernie here, Mr. Lingam.
Yes, I've just spoken to you on Helo and 2 and all that.
Oh, thank you.
Oh,
Yes,
great.
I've spoken to you
Okay.
many times. But I totally agree with you regarding this human capital which is required, where, as you had said, that you have to compete not only with your people, you have to compete with the brains. Brains means you bring the brains from any part of the world, and then you compete, you will better yourself. As one good example, look at Singapore today. Even as you said, the football team has got the people from China, people from whichever country is playing for the country. And they are given the citizenship of the country because they play so well. And look at them, they beat Malaysia. And look at Singapore today. The population of Singapore consists of lots of people from other parts of the world. I know from India, from China, and all the brains they buy. And to have this, when you have these brains, you progress in many ways, especially in an industrial country where you will need all the brains to put in so that you can prosper and your younger generation will come up and learn and be better people. So if we learn this kind of fundamentals that we have from other parts, don't tell me America is American. America is full of people from different countries, and they are using other people's brains. Like go to the Silicon Valley, it's all Indian.
Yep.
So they are using them. So why are we not thinking, why are we thinking about ourselves? Where are we? We will go nowhere if we do not compete with the other world. That is a global thing, This is a global world which has got no,
borders anymore.
No boundaries.
Yes,
so
no borders, no boundaries.
You put them there. So as long as you progress, you should be happy, your country progress, your people progress, everything progress, and they say you are a Malaysian. You must put it that you are a Malaysian, not to say that I'm this, I'm that, I'm that. So I totally agree with you, Bernie, that we need all these things so that our country will be better or at par with even other countries which are already progressed. Thank you very much.
That's a very good comment, and we'll have a comment from Ernie right after this quick break. We'll be back in a moment. Don't go away. We'll be right back on Hello Malaysia. Stay with us. Well, welcome back. Education in Malaysia, the right human capital. That's our topic today. We're talking to Ernie Chen, who is and wears a number of hats. One of it is, of course, he is Asia's #1 business coach. He's a great trainer and very passionate about education and which way and also platform that we should take in order to excel, especially globally. And we had Mr. Lingam on the line just now, who also voiced your concerns about how, you know, we should be competing out there with people from overseas, professionals who can come here to instill that sort of competition or competitive spirit. Your comment, Ernie?
You see, why are we so busy competing among the races in Malaysia? They are Malays, they are Chinese, they are Indians, they are my Malaysian brothers and sisters. Forget about competing among ourselves here. We have a much bigger platform that we need to be competing with. If Malaysians do not do something and come together as one and start developing together, we're going to be left rear behind. We are already left rear behind. The knowledge worker concept was in 1960 adopted by America. Peter F. Drucker started the whole entire realm of knowledge worker. Malaysia, in the year of 2000, Dr. Mahathir launched it in Putra World Trade Center, 8th of March, the second Global Knowledge Conference. Malaysia will now adopt a knowledge-based economy. We are already 40 years behind of developing a knowledge-based economy. Until today, I still find people not understanding that we are in a knowledge-based economy. What does that mean? We are moving away from what we call an industrialized country to become knowledge-driven. We are moving away from factory-driven organizations to be design, creative. We are becoming creators of new products, inventions. Yeah. That's what we are to be now. Why? Because if we were still to compete as an industrialized organization, China, Vietnam, with the population itself, they're going to kill us.
And they have the manpower.
They have the manpower. Is going to be so cheap. So we cannot be competing based on such facts anymore. We have to compete based on what we have today, that is our competitive advantage. And today with that is called right human capital. What is the right human capital? People who are creators, people who are innovators, people who are inventors. So we no longer want it to be assembled in Malaysia. We want it to be created, innovated, pioneered in Malaysia.
Right.
But does that mean that we got to be so proud and not learn from the rest of the world? No. Let's start doing more joint ventures. Let's start having more cross-study, cross-cultural. Bring in the foreigners. Let them build it here for us. Operate it. And then when we learn from them, transfer it out to us. Build, operate, transfer model. We know all these things, but are we doing it? Malaysia have the best policies year after year. Every Malaysian plan is amazing. I read it every single 5 years. The problem with it is that we are so bad in implementation, and that's what our policy people need to start doing. Stop writing good policies. Start becoming good implementers of them.
It should go hand in hand.
Yes.
Yeah, but you know, a question that I have in my mind when you're talking about, you know, how we don't have enough foreigners coming in here, you know, professionals, to compete with us. Is it because of this protective sort of way that we are brought up? You know, it's like, let's protect ourselves.
Sure.
You know, we don't want any competition. We are happy as we are.
Yep. We always want to protect our people. We always say that, you know what, you don't understand, we got to have this protection. If we don't protect our people, they're going to be all gobbled up and swallowed by the foreigners. How do you know that? That has not happened. Why don't you trust and have more faith in the Malaysians to be competed with the rest of the world? Let us feel the pinch a little bit more. Let us suffer a little bit more. And then we may be a bit more hungry to compete. And then we have the natural survival instinct to be better. Your only best way to learn to be a great survivor, a great entrepreneur, someone who's able to get out of really difficult situations and to compete and win, is that you're left in really tough situations, is when you're really hungry. If you starve yourself for 7 days and you're being competed and you're being beaten down by a competitor, 7 days later, two things going to happen. You're going to give up and die, or you're going to fight back and really gobble up your competitor. So you got to put us in such situations where we will be turned to become real competitive individuals as Malaysians and fight and compete with the world.
So gobble them up.
Gobble them up. What's wrong with that? But before that, always invite them in here. Bring the word here. Tell them straight up, you know, we want to learn from you. We want to work with you. But you know what? When it comes to a certain point in time, we may be better, and that's fine. I'm sure they're more than happy to compete with us.
All right, Ernie. Another aspect, apart from the mindset,
Sure.
that we need to change is also our education system. Yeah, there are weaknesses in our education system which has affected our students. This is a fact. What are these? Can you point them out?
Yes. Three very specific things I can tell you. First and foremost, we run a lot of interviews. We do a lot of interviews for fresh graduates. We do a lot of interviews for employees. Three main things keeps coming up.
And
first thing first.
That's what you do at your company.
And that's what we do
Edson.
with one of our company, Edson, and also one of our recruitment agency as well that we own. The first thing is they do not even fundamentally speak English. That is one of the major problems that is faced by all Malaysian employees and employers, because when they don't speak English, it becomes a problem for the employers as well. So English has become a major issue. Secondly is that the attitude has become so humongously unbelievable. I want to make sure when I have my first job, I got to have at least 2,500 ringgit Malaysia or 3,000. If not, this job is not for me. Why? Because everything is provided for.
And a great name or position on your
Make sure I have a manager position. If not, I don't think I'm going to be doing this job. And third, which is also a very critical thing that all Malaysians are really lacking in, is called communication skills. Now, communication skills do not be confused with English. The command and demand of your ability to communicate in English is two different things, because you can be speaking good English, but yet not be able to articulate and communicate your intention. So it's important to know English is a technical skill which we must have to communicate with the world. Chinese, Mandarin has become an international global language, and we need that too. So that's a technical skill. But being able to have the interpersonal communication skills to get people to understand what is your intention, what is our intention of getting the message across, have they understood my strategic intent, have they understood what I want them to understand. That's communication skills. And a lot of the Malaysians, young students today, are not able to communicate. They are not able to articulate their ideas. They are not able to present themselves, and it's always put back to, oh, because they're Americans, because they are Brits, they are louder and they are better just because of their culture. Because of culture, because they're seen as just louder, and because you're seen as louder, you're seen as better. That's wrong. There's no such thing because you're white and you're louder and you're better. No, we are human beings and we're equivalent. And more importantly is we must know that. And a lot of Asian students that I've been talking to and going to universities and colleges to speak to, they have this mentality that, you know what, I'm just going to be just like everyone else and not stand out, because if I do, I'm the oddball out. You got to know, you got to be the oddball.
The inferiority complex.
There you go.
Perhaps.
And it's become a big issue because I just want to be like everyone else. No, we don't want to be like everyone else. We want to stand out. We want to be different. We want to be Malaysians that the world notice, not because we have the Twin Towers only, because we have the right human capital that's able to build our own Twin Towers. That's what we want.
And we have a Malaysian Steve Jobs.
There you go. And that's going to happen because we already have a Malaysian based in Taiwan who has invented the first ever thumb drive. And that's become a huge news, and we should be proud of things like this. Whether he's in Malaysia is besides the point. The fact of the matter is he is Malaysian. He found the opportunity in another country to create that, and I'm sure Taiwanese is knowing that, hey, that's a Malaysian. Malaysians are good. He doesn't have to be Malaysia to be able to be for the world to know. He can be in any country, but he's a Malaysian. You can't change that.
So all these three facts that you've pointed out, which is English, attitude, and communication skills.
That's right.
Okay, what's the reason, that we are weak in these areas?
The fundamental reason of why we are weak in English is because we do not force English upon, we do not place enough importance, critical importance to the fundamentals of how important English is, right? We are always going back and forward of whether maths and science should be in English. We are saying one moment, you know, if we put it in English, the students are not going to understand it. We put it in Bahasa, the students will understand it. So do we want them to learn science and maths, or do we want them to learn English in science and maths? I mean, get it right, get it straight.
From the start.
From the start. I remembered my parents had fantastic English teachers, because then you said there were not as many kids. You see, we are always giving a lot of reasons that I like to call excuses. Fix it. You know English is not right, fix it. Don't have graduates of English, degree, literatures, graduates who can't even speak properly and they can't find a job in the real world, they go back and teach. Because they usually say you can't make it in the real world, you teach.
Right.
So they graduate English degree literatures or English TESOL or whatever not, master degrees, but they cannot teach. They don't understand how to teach English. And that's wrong. If we need to hire and bring the right human capital from the world to teach English, bring them in and teach it, get it right once and for all. Stop having the local grads who have graduated English to teach because they have learned from the wrong people in the first place.
What about the suggestion by the ministry to have them trained at private universities to teach English?
I just said earlier on, private universities are so numbers driven. What makes you think that the private universities are doing a better job than the public universities? Are we saying that public universities are not as good as the private universities? I don't think so. I think being a university that they should be, ensuring quality is there. What I'm saying is, don't worry about whether it's a private university in Malaysia or public university in Malaysia. What I'm saying is get the people who can do the job. Doesn't matter who they are. If they are the right people to do the job, get them in. Doesn't matter whether they're from Tahiti. Who cares if they're from Fiji? Who cares if they're from Nigeria? I don't care where they're from. What I want is, are they able to deliver and ensure that Malaysians speak, communicate better English and have the right attitude? Doesn't matter where you're from.
So this attitude thing, where did it come from?
It came from us being given too much too easily. We have been pampered as a country. We have been pampered as Malaysians. Like it or not, we have been given way too much.
So the moment you graduate, this is what you're supposed to have. You cannot work in this sort of environment. You must have this kind of environment and this sort of position.
Now, if you say the government have not done anything, I disagree.
Yeah.
The government did a lot of things, such as they even have the Ministry of Human Resources to put in place, train and place program. We recruit the students, we train the students who have unemployed for the last 6 months after graduation, and you place them in a job function. Most of the corporate people will tell you that these students have been trained 6 months, both in class and also on the job. They've done that. We have done that. 6 months later, the students, after going to the real world in KL City, is way too fast. I think I'm going to rush back and go back to my hometown. In Terengganu, with a degree in economics, I'd rather pump petrol. And that is a real situation. I ain't lying. I'm telling you a real experience of a student, a bachelor economics student, would rather be going back to his hometown to pump petrol with a degree than to come down to Kuala Lumpur or anywhere part of the world to compete. So where did this come from? A too laid back environment and culture, and we've been pampered. We need to do something about it.
And we need to change.
We need to change, not just us. We need to change as a country. And we need to change fast. You know, the world doesn't slow down because of us. The world will still keep moving faster and faster. If you look at it, economy challenges are everywhere. And we're looking at a global recession that's just been reported. Are we going to get there? I'm not going to say yes or no, but hey, be prepared whether it's going to happen or not.
Exactly. We'll take another short break. We'll be back. We're going to be talking about effective communication, yeah, Ernie, which is essential, one of the essential, very essential ingredients to achieve the right human capital right here in Malaysia. And we'll be right back to Kobe. Yes, Wednesdays with Ernie Chen, who is from Adson Group of Companies. He's the founder and also CEO of this company, which provides training, also a lot of advice, programs, interesting motivational talks. Yeah, Ernie, and you are really, really busy.
Yes, I am.
And as a matter of fact, when we are talking about the right human capital, I'd like to share with you also that there was an article in the Straits Times, Singapore Straits Times, that Minister Mentor Lee Kuan Yew has actually shouted out that, you know, the level of English in Singapore should be increased because it's the language of science, business, and also diplomacy. Imagine Lee Kuan Yew saying it in Singapore, where the standard is high already.
Yes. Imagine the standard is so high in Singapore, and the Minister Mentor said that. Imagine what level we're at right now in Malaysia. We always lie to ourselves. We're okay, we're fine. No, we're not fine. This leads up all the way to the Minister of Education, which is our Deputy Prime Minister. He needs to take an extremely active role to ensure that this is fixed, not we need time. No, we don't have time. We need to fix it now, today. Get it right now. Because every single day we lose a whole bunch of people that is really not helping. Because the level of competency in English language is dropping on a daily basis. And the people are believing that I have good English and it's good enough. They are continuously telling themselves, I'm fine, that's good enough. Why? If you look at Thailand, you look at China, you go to private language centers, English specifically.
Sure.
The Thais, the Chinese, the Vietnamese, they are desiring to improve on their English language, the command of the language. They're really desiring to improve on it because they know in order for them to compete globally, not just in Thailand, not just in Vietnam or China, they need to have an international language. We're always looking at Klang Valley. We're fine here. Look at Malaysia as a whole. Are we really there? If we are there, more investors would really come to Malaysia because that will be able to serve the language of international command. That's important. So that's not happening right now. So do we need to improve drastically right now? Yes. If the Deputy Prime Minister is watching on right now or listening to some of his assistants, please inform him. Fix it now. You'd like to know how? Come and see me. I'll tell you straight. Free of charge.
There we go, Ernie. Okay, another issue which is also prevalent among postgraduates is also the issue of effective communication, which is not quite effective, and that has also led to a lot of graduates perhaps not being able to serve in their area of interest and of course to be experts in their field. So how do we improve this?
A lot of these individuals were given choices to study. A lot of times graduates after Form 6 or after Form 5, matriculation, they go into a system where you're given options for you to select your top 5 choices. A lot of times individuals are not given the choices that they want. So tendency is this: if you're not good with numbers and you ask me to study accountancy, I'm probably not going to do that well. If I do well and I pass because I'm a good student, because I work hard, I'm probably not going to excel. Because in order for someone to do really well in whatever field they choose to study, there are 2 things we need to look at. They must be capable at it and they must be suitable at that job. And you could be the best English lecturer, teacher. You may have the best command of the English language. But if you are not a good host, you're not going to make it. So you need someone who's capable, having the competency and capability to do the job, and at the same time suitable. They're the right person, human capital,
and
to do the job. And confident to do it. So you can't just expect someone, oh, you're a good student, take this subject, you'll be fine. You're a science student, you are a good student. You're an art student, you're not that smart. We are already stereotyping that you are a good student because you're a science student, and you're an art student, you're not that good of a student. And then we tell people, because you're a science student and you didn't pass your chemistry and biology, you cannot become a doctor. Why not?
Right.
Why can't we let them keep on partaking and taking on the examination as long as they have the desire to want to be a doctor and help the world? Let them be one. And if you have watched the movie Patch Adams, you don't need really medical medicine to save someone. You just need laughter. And you need a funny guy to help someone laugh. Yeah, that's the best medicine. So there are a lot of things that we need to open our minds and our hearts to start changing and not stereotyping. Because you're science students, you need to be a doctor, engineer, or you need to be in art stream because you need to be an accountant, you need to be an economist, you need to be an artist. No, let's have something that's more generic. Select your subjects. Choose what you feel like studying while you're in school. At least I am now, oh, this is my kind of character. I think I'm more attuned to drawing. Let's pick up an arts class. Take the subject, draw it out. Wow, I'm really good at this. Have a specialized vocational school that develops artists. And let me be a painter. Let me be an artist. That's what it needs to be. Why is our country's art schools, our country's performing schools, not as great as many other countries? Because we always say there is no future in the entertainment industry. You're not going to do well. We're not providing an outlet for them. And that's why it's not. So what we need to do is start identifying the talents of this young, while they're in primary school to secondary school, and stop forcing them to go to science stream or art stream. Let them select a specialized school that is their skill sets. If I'm a sports champion in school, put me in Bukit Jalil. develop that skill, enhance that skill.
That's right.
Let me leverage on what I can become a champion in.
We have a caller from Penang right now, Ernie. Kuldip Singh. Yeah, Kuldip, hello. Hello, Kuldip. Hello.
Good evening, Anne.
Good evening. Sorry to keep you
Can you
waiting.
hear me?
Yes, yes, loud and clear. Carry on. Carry on, carry on.
Can I pose a question to Ernest, please?
Yes, go ahead.
Please, please, go ahead, go ahead.
What
Yeah, go ahead.
What do you think of the recently launched talent corporation?
Yeah. Okay.
We have a diaspora
Mm.
What do I think?
of 1 million people
Yeah. Kuldip, can you sort of...
working overseas,
Yeah.
and what is the incentive? And what is the incentive for them to come back?
Mm.
For them to come back home
Okay. Yeah.
when we drove them away in the first place?
Okay. Very good question. Thank you, Kuldip. Okay. Yeah. What is the incentive for them to bring them, to bring them
Sure.
when we actually drove them away?
Very simple. I hope the talent corp people are listening. Whole Malaysia are listening. It's very simple. This is all not rocket science. What drove them away, identify what drove them away, remove what drove them away.
Money?
That's it, they'll come back. If we didn't pay them enough, pay them enough to come back.
Okay.
If we did not provide a merit-driven system to drive them away, make sure it's a merit-driven system so that they'll come back. It's very simple. Nothing that is in the country right now is rocket science. You don't need NASA, astronauts, scientists to figure this out. Whatever drove our Malaysians away, ask them what drove you away. Ask them the question. They will tell you, this is what drove me away. You go on Google and Google it up. They'll tell you 10,000 things of what drove our Malaysians away. Very simple. They will tell you. Ask my friend around Australia, America, UK. They tell me every day what drove them away.
And what would be the main, or perhaps that one point that drove them away?
Merit system.
Merit system.
I want to be treated equally fairly. I want to be able to compete equally fairly. If you are able to provide me with that, I will come back. Because why? Then we will be able to provide competitive salaries, we'll be able to provide competitive education system. That's the fundamental of every single one of the challenges. People say education, people say this, say that. Bottom line, merit. You treat me equally fairly, you give me a fair chance to compete with everyone fairly, I will come back. There's no issue. Why? Because it's the same everywhere else in the world then.
Another caller on the line, Hazrin Sarina, and she comes from Bangi. Hello, Hazrin?
Hello. Hi. Hello. Evening, Anne.
Hi, good evening. Thanks for calling, Hazrin. You have a question for us?
Yeah.
Yeah, please
well,
go.
actually, I'm coming back to the earlier point where he mentioned that people not selecting the right choice for their career, which starts from, as they finish school, as they finish their A-levels, as they finish SPM. Well, that kind of happened to me also. I mean, I'm a product of one of our local institutions. I've already got my degree, but I decided to stray away from my major. And I think that's what I see myself doing, as well as a lot of my other peers doing at the moment. We are not focusing on what we should be doing. Now, even as I progress through selecting the proper channels for my career and how I want to form my career path, I mean, how do you make that turn out good? And how do you make that a win-win situation for both human capital and also for people who just want to learn and want to gain experience?
Okay. Thank you so much, Hazrin. Okay, we'll answer that when we come back after another break on how do we achieve this win-win situation, of course, for what we do as our major, but we do not actually take it further into the employment market. Stay with us on Helo. We'll be right back with Ernie. Thanks for staying with us. the right human capital. And we have another call on the line right now. He was waiting during the break. Yeah, Ernie, Mr. Puan from Penang. Hello. Hello, Mr. Puan. Hello.
Okay.
I can hear something.
Nice to meet you.
Okay.
Okay. My question is very straightforward. I just want to know, actually, normally in our education system, we can see the fundamental policies on the education always being changed by politicians rather than educated people. So what do you think about this, and who should govern this in order to get this effective to implement rather than politicians? This is my question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Very straight to the point, yeah? Would you like to answer that? Then the question that, came on before the break.
Let me answer this question, and then we'll go back to the question before the break.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, because it's quite a straightforward answer also. I think what they did with MAS was very simple. They got Dato' Idris Jala in, who was a professional, who's not a politician, he's not in any political party. He was a professional business strategist in that field that they brought in to fix the issue. So the question was, instead of politicians driving the Ministry of Education, what do? Same thing, set up an education team who are professionals, who knows education and who knows how to build and develop education in Malaysia. Someone like me, fix the education problems in Malaysia, something like that. Or it doesn't have to be me. Get someone who's passionate about education, knows how to fix the education system in Malaysia, hire that person and get them to do the job. That's it.
And see how it changes.
Yeah. KPIs, performance driven. Don't just talk. Do it. And people need to be fired, they need to be fired. We just need to fix issues, people will need to be heard. That's how it works.
Okay.
Going back to the question earlier.
Yes, which is a win-win situation. You are majoring in that subject, for example, in a university.
Sure.
But you do not necessarily expand on what you studied in the employment market. So this is the case with most graduates.
There's a lot of mismatch right now in the universities today because they are not really working very closely with the corporate environment where what is needed in the market today. For example, we have so many jobs in the contact center environment. The call center, people are answering phone calls. But we do not even have a fundamental course degree certificate in a public university or private university that is offering that, but that's where a lot of jobs are. So if you have studied the wrong thing right now, or you have studied the thing that you did not choose to study, and you are going out to the market, very simple. What is done is done. You've gotten your degree, accept that and enjoy your years of college or university education as life learning experiences. Right? Whether you studied the skills or the knowledge that you need to do the job function today does not matter.
So it's nothing wrong.
Nothing wrong. You studied something wrong. It's okay. What is done is done. You're not going to turn back time and go back and blame this and blame that. Don't ever do that. All you need to do is just stay focused on wanting to learn. The only way you can do better and do well in what you are interested in today. Make sure your heart is interested in what you're doing today. Your heart excites you to wake up every morning to go to whatever career that you're wanting to build and learn as much as you can at the job function that you are enjoying today. Go home, learn some more about the same job function and speed up your learning process in that knowledge and skill set area and be good at that, because now you're no longer in university where they develop you on a more holistic picture. Now you learn to become a specialist in your specific field of your interest area. So if you want to become a medical doctor and you studied the art stream, for example, go and pick up some medical certifications. Go and get Red Cross certification. Get the fundamentals of what you enjoy in that field.
That's really a very good advice.
And build on that. It's never too late. It's never too late.
If you love music, go study.
Yeah. Colonel Sanders. I always say this. Colonel Sanders only went around the whole entire country trying to sell his 11 secret recipes for his KFC at the 60 over years old. It was an old man. It was never too late. You know, do that. Don't wait and say that, you know, I've done my degree now, I didn't study the right thing. I hate my parents because they didn't give me the right course to study. I hate the government because they didn't give me the right scholarship. Stop complaining and blaming and telling the whole world it is such a bad thing they didn't give me the right thing. Be thankful. We have a degree. Move forward with what you want to learn, what you want to do. You want to be a host? Give Anne a call. Call Bernama. Come for a casting. If you're good at that, I'm sure they'll give you a job.
And if you're interested in acting, call Ernie. How many movies have you produced?
We are always casting. So bottom line, the world doesn't care what paper qualifications you come with. The world cares about what you can do for them today and tomorrow. So if you came with an engineering degree and you're going to be moving into the sales market and become a sales professional, so be it. If that's what you enjoy doing, improve, go for more training, learn up the skills, be the best in that, and do well in that.
Ernie, who can be the driving force in improving the education system?
The driving force needs to be every single parent in Malaysia.
Every single parent.
Every single parent in Malaysia. Why? Because instead of them just going to school, they can be learning fundamentally since they were born from their parents. Every single parent today need to know one thing. Do not drive your children just for academics. Do not strive them and get them so annoyed. Score A's, score A's, score A's, score A's. I'm not saying A's are not important. What I'm saying is that make sure they're given a lot of other skill sets that will build them on their interpersonal communication skills. There's no point being the best pianist in the world, but not able to do an interview to tell people how you became the best pianist in the world. There's no point becoming the best director in the world to know exactly what kind of shots you want, how to hold the camera, but not being able to communicate with a team of people who can work with you. So it's important for us to provide a holistic development for a young child who become good at various multiple skills. Today we say we need to be generalists who specializes in one thing.
Right.
They used to tell you, just be a generalist. And then they changed. No, no, no. You need to be a specialist. I say today, you need to be a generalist who is a specialist. So you have general skills, life skills, but you have a very specialized skills that you are so good at.
Yeah.
And that's what is your competitive advantage.
So with all these issues, we've just got a few minutes left before we wrap up, Ernie, we can be able to achieve the right human capital.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's how
by
we
the year
develop.
2020, it's less than 10 years from now.
Less than 10 years. It was 10 years a couple of months back, and now it's less than 10 years.
Less than 10 years.
And can we get there? Yes, we can. It's not difficult. Start importing brains. Start bringing in a lot of talented right human capital to help us speed up the process, get them to teach us, build it here, operate it here, transfer it. Stop saying that it will never work. Give everything a chance to make things possible for Malaysia. Malaysians can make this happen.
Great. Thank you so much, Ernie. We'll have Ernie Chen, who is founder and group CEO of Adson Group, which is an education group. And Ernie is also Asia's #1 business coach. He's flying everywhere, actually, to train people and to give them motivational talk. And I am motivated. I hope you were listening to Ernie. We'll be back next week on Wednesday with Ernie. And what would be that special topic next week? I think it's something on globalization.
That's right.
Globalization and how it has changed the face of education in Malaysia. We'll be back next week, of course, with Ernie Chen. Thank you so much, Ernie.
Thank you so much for having me.
Safe trip. And thanks to all of you for all your calls. Do tune in to Hello Malaysia. That's every night, Monday to Friday, 10 to 11, live, right here on Bernama TV. I'm Anne Edwards. Thank you so much for your time.